Okay, so I have a funny story for you. Hello, how are you? Hope you're doing great. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing super swell. I had to make sure it was on this time. I have a funny story. I just recorded a video. There was no sound. None. You know why? Because the power was off to my mic and I didn't see the red circle. And I mean it's pretty big. Like if I look down, I could see the white. Yeah. So silly goose moments. Now it's like, oh, I just put all of that energy into a video. Do I really want to do it for another one? I don't know, we'll see. Um, Maybe. Uh, okay, so I'm going to obviously do this different this time because the other one had no sound. Do you guys ever like really sit there and you put your energy into something and then you go back to do the same thing and you're like, oh, well, I already did it to something else. It's not happening on this one. So I'm gonna take a drink, my throat. Every time I come down to my basement, it's just I wrote down some notes today. I was gonna talk about Antarctica, then I decided not to. I'm only slightly joking. I did actually, watch a documentary, and I find it so fascinating, and I don't really have anyone to really talk about, um, my documentaries with, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna talk about Antarctica. I'm not gonna do it. I really love watching documentaries. My favorite documentary is I'd have to say Blackfish. I really, really love that documentary. I think, I've watched every single oceanic documentary. Every single I really wanted to be a marine biologist when I was younger. First a teacher, then a marine biologist because I really love, um, orcas, specifically orcas. The funny thing is I'm absolutely scared of the ocean. I don't wanna swim, which is a fear that I actually wrote down for this one, but I won't talk about Antarctica. We're not gonna do this right now. I'm gonna stick to the regular scheduled programming and talk about different thing. Now, I'm actually recording this on Sunday, so instead of normally I do it, like, days before, but I had a really rough week, so we're doing this on the day of, so this is, like, fresh out of the oven. Anyways, I wanna start by expressing my gratitude for this life. I do write gratefuls every day, and it is something that I do practice heavily is gratitude for my life, and that's every aspect of my life. I will say that I'm not grateful for experiences that happened in my life, like my past. I am it is a hard concept for me to be grateful for something that happened that I believe caused me a lot of issues, but I am grateful that I am able to be this person today. Um, it taught me a lot. That experience taught me a lot, and I am grateful for lessons that I was able to gain from it because I will be damned if I go through something that's traumatic and not, at least be able to feel, you know, feel something good came from it, it's kind of like being, it's n there's nothing died in vain, that childhood that I didn't get, she didn't go through all of that for nothing. Um, I still advocate for the girl who went through that, so gratitude is one of my important parts of my life is being grateful, and I'm very grateful for this life and for this existence and to be able to be in this place today, and I never thought that I would ever be here. And that's why I'm talking specifically about fear today, because I really wanted to ensure that the message that I was putting out there was beneficial, and I wrote it down so I could really talk about it in more in an in-depth way. So, when I was going through my healing journey, I really started to I was able to not started to, but I was able to see myself in a different way, see myself in a different light. Um, where it was before it was I was operating out of fear, mainly fear I operated out of, and I was operating out of fear because I felt like that was my natural like, I always knew I was naturally, like, a lover. I'm a lover, not a fighter, right? Um, I always lead with compassion and gentleness, whereas, like, someone else might lead with, more logic and more, um I don't know how to say it, but there's just, like, different people in this world. Not everyone's the same. Everyone operates differently. Everyone's natural state is different. It's not gonna be the same, which that's the great part about life is the differences. If everyone was the same, it would be really boring, but there is beauty in, somebody being naturally gentle or naturally compassionate. There's beauty in somebody who leads with, what is it called? Like, just being more, I don't know. I don't know how you say that. Logical. They don't lead with feelings. They lead, and so different perspectives. Like I offer different perspectives. They offer different perspectives. And that is good because you can really see how different brains are or people are across the map. So, anyways, I sat there and I really allowed myself to see my fear and not, instead of constantly judging it or constantly, what is wrong with me? Why are you like this? Why can't you just get it together? Why are you always afraid? Why are you such a coward? Why can't you just be like this person? Why can't you be like that person? Why can't you do more? Why can't you be more? And operating from that place, I really sat there and I saw that my fear was not actually asking me to be afraid. It was asking me to see, to acknowledge. It's to me, it was guiding me to really live in awareness. So, my first example of fear was being yelled at. I do not like being yelled at. I did not like being yelled at. I couldn't even when I was in my 20s, I didn't wanna order my own food. I didn't wanna go into a this is how fearful I was of the world. Um, I didn't wanna go into a gas station. I didn't wanna go. I would literally have other people, i.e. my family, do things for me because I just genuinely was afraid of people, which is odd. It's the people that hurt me were who my fear amplified the pain of my past were the people that I was asking for help. And how interesting that was that my brain really didn't, at that point, didn't really connect those 2 things. Like, it was really, I don't know, it's just so interesting how when you're growing up in an environment that you're told to be obedient, submissive, you're told to listen, you're told to basically be controlled. Um, it's almost like I don't know, it's you stay in that like, not you, but I stayed in that place because there's that sense of it being familiar. I was gonna say it, but my that was not coming out of my mouth. But it was familiar. It was and my brain at the time didn't like things that were unfamiliar because it was deemed unsafe. So, even when it came to me being afraid of other people, the people who hurt me the most, I those were the people I was relying on. And so it was funny when I looked back on it and I looked back at the decisions I made. I was like, "Well, that's such an interesting take." My brain's like, "Yeah, well, we were trying to tell you, you weren't listening," and that's fair. That is a fair thing. But so I really had a fear of being yelled at, and I sat there and I think for the longest time, I think what really got me out of that place, especially after healing, was that my brain really was not wanting me to be afraid of the world. Like, I don't think that your fear or your anger or your sadness wants you to live in that place. They're just asking you to see. They're just asking you to witness them and to say and to acknowledge and to move differently and to say, yes, that happened, but I don't need to make choices in that place anymore. And for me, that's something that I had to really I don't know, I really had to be honest with myself when it came to healing. I had to be honest, 100% honest. I had to really face a lot of hard truths. And even though it was hard to hear, I had to sit there and just say, you know, you made a really, really dumb decision. That's okay. It is okay. You are human. We didn't murder anybody. We didn't hurt anybody. We did not do anything that caused anyone else distress. All of the distress we did was internal. Um, so, a lot of honesty, a lot of hard truths, a lot of put myself in situations that were not beneficial for me because I was operating in a place that I was not aware of yet. That does not remove my responsibility from but there was no awareness yet that I was causing all of this to myself. Not experiences. We can't always control every experience that we have. No child asked for that, stuff like that. But, you know, the crazy thing about people is they have free will. People are free to do whatever they want with their free will. The only thing I have control over is how I react or respond to what happened to me and how I choose to show up in the world now. So, my fear of being yelled at really or being seen or, um, what was the other one? Of really speaking up, like, really avoiding speaking up because I was afraid of people judging me, especially with my story. I think my story because it involves, um, instances where it's, like, a family member abusing another family member, um it's just something that I was scared of a lot of judgment around because of, I didn't really you don't have control how other people perceive your story or how you talk. You have no control over that, and it's something that you have to come to terms with and say, "Okay, well, I'm putting this out there. How you receive it and how you perceive it are not something that I can control. Those were not my intentions, but if you choose to see it that way, then there's nothing I can do about that. My intentions are clear." So, that was a lot of the fear was of speaking up, of, you know, also hurting people, my fear for, saying things and making somebody upset with me. I think because of the obedience of my mom really wanting obedience and really wanting, you know, us to be the seen as great kids, and how she enforced that really paved the way for how we were later on in life. Um, so when we sat there and we we do things that we don't wanna hurt her because there's still that fear of her. There's still being afraid of her in a sense. And so when it's, like, speaking up about my story, it's like, "Oh, I it's potentially gonna hurt her, but this is my story, and I'm not using it in a malicious way. I'm not using my story as to say, 'Oh, F you, you suck.'" Um, I think she was operating from her own wounds and dealing now does it excuse her behavior? Absolutely not, but she was operating from a place where, she wasn't fully understanding what she was doing, and that's okay. I can understand that, but also not excuse it at the same time. But I really avoided speaking up. I was really afraid. I was really afraid of being seen. That really stems from my childhood. It is one of the things that I still to this day, um, I always remember when I was a little girl how I was never scared of the dark because no one could see you in the dark. And I really carried that on into my life is, the fear of being seen. Nobody can see you when you're in the shadows. Um, and that's like my book, how it's very the dark was always a friend to me because, it was my safe place. And I really carried a lot of the fear from my childhood because fear is something fears we're born with, anger, like all of our emotions, those are natural. But our past can amplify or our fear and anger and all is amplified by our past. So then it really, like, magnifies, okay, this happened to you because of a family member. Now that causes your trust to dwindle down, and so it really spotlights that you can't really trust anyone. So the fear is like, okay, well, now I'm afraid of existing, of really being out there. And so for me, it was really about asking myself when I was healing was instead of punishing myself, just saying, "Hey, like what is what's really going on?" And I decided to lead with compassion and really be more compassionate towards myself because I have always been so hard on myself. So yeah, my fear was not trying to make me shrink. It wasn't trying to make me small. It was just asking me to say, yes, this happened. This happened to me and it is unfortunate. Um, but how do we move forward? And saying that this is what people are capable of. This is what life is capable of. So we need to make choices not in spite of fear, um, and not make a choice based in fear. So for me, it would be more of me saying, okay, that can happen. So how do I ensure that things like that don't happen? Obviously, remove myself from family that harmed me, remove myself from environments that are not beneficial for me, and to make sure that I don't because I don't ever want to operate in spite of fear. And I don't want to operate from fear, but when if in spite of fear, I don't want to, just do something because I want to show my fear that I can do something to oppose it and say, like, "You have no control over me," because fear is very beneficial. It's asking us to stay aware. like, stay aware of your surroundings, be cautious, be conscious, be intentional, um, not to do something. Now, obviously, if you make a choice outside and if you make a choice in spite of fear, and you're like, "I'm gonna do this anyways," that's great, your choice, you know? But that's not what fear is asking you to do. To me, that's my perspective. And fear is just asking us to stay aware because our entire being, its job is to ensure the existence of this vessel. So, fear is just wanting witness and awareness and to say, boom, okay, I need to make choices that are better for my overall existence in my life, for this journey, right? Something like that. That's my perspective. That's what I see. Um, you might perceive it differently. And if you do, that's great too. Everyone operates in a different way. And yeah, so that was one of my fears is well, that was a lot lumped in one. It was being yelled at, being seen and speaking up because for me, speaking up was really a lot about, not hurting others. And I don't want to hurt anybody. Never my intention, ever. If it happens and unintentionally, I would feel bad still. I would still feel bad. Another fear is of swimming. I know I said this earlier because of the ocean, but I am super scared of swimming. And it's not really the swimming aspect, it's the unknown beneath the water that really scares me. Um, but this is a great example of just like my fear telling me that it's not you swimming. Just like be careful while you're swimming. Just do it with awareness. Like if you're going to go swimming, take the proper steps. Ensure that you're doing it safely. My fear is not telling me not to do it. It's saying, "Hey, I'm here to tell you that this can potentially happen. Now, I know this is annoying that I'm checking in, but I'm ensuring your safety. So let's just do this with awareness." I'm like, "Aw, thank you, brain. Thank you for telling me that this could happen and that I need to do it safely." You're so kind. So kind. She really overall wants my existence to be better, but sometimes she does it in a wrong way and she doesn't understand that. But that's okay. I understand. I'm joking. Sometimes I'm crazy and that's okay, but in a good way, not in a bad way. To me, other people might say, no, that's not normal. And that's fair. I don't even know what to tell you. It's 100% fair. I'm not for everybody, and that's okay. Um, Another fear that I had was a fear of being alone, and it really wasn't being alone, of other people. I've been alone a lot. I always said solitude was my, I was like, what is that? Ugh, it is literally one of my Discord panels. Fortress of Solitude. That's what it was. My Fortress of Solitude. Um, because I really did lean on being alone. But when I say fear of being alone, I mean fear of being alone with my own thoughts. Um, now you're like, oh, that doesn't make sense because Fortress of Solitude. I know. Um, I really played a lot of video games. Anything that pulled me outside of myself that didn't require me to be around others, I was a big fan of. So, World of Warcraft, video games in general, big fan. It really allowed me to not sit with myself, really allowed me to not see myself and to not think thoughts, not have feelings, not have emotions, um, unless I was playing PvP, and then in which case a lot of emotions, a lot of anger, a lot of stress, anxiety, all of the feels all in one. But yeah, so it was really the fear of, really sitting with myself and sitting with my thoughts and allowing myself to experience life presently. That was the fear. And my fear was really not asking me to, really didn't want me to not be present. It wanted me to be present. It was just asking me to see life, the things that were bugging me, and to be honest with myself, and to be aware of myself, and to be aware of my thoughts. Because the hardest thing for me to do was be honest with myself. That was really one of the hardest things for me to do, is to sit there and just look at myself in honesty and really choose how I move forward and how I choose to show up in the world. Um, One of my examples of this, that is a great example of this, is I remember I was seeing someone and they had told me, I really like crazy girls. I like crazy girls. I like, jealous, very jealous, and I was like, "Oh, that's not me. That's not me. You want that? That's I'm not for you, because I don't want any part of that." And I didn't listen to myself, even though I should have, I didn't. And I did We ended up being together, and I turned into somebody that I did not wanna be. I turned into somebody who was jealous, who was crazy, who was, really and at this point, I could, be like, "Oh, it's he made me crazy, or he did this," but it was really not him. I allowed, behaviors to change the way I viewed myself. That's not who I wanted to be. Why would I allow something to alter the person who I wanted to be? I am a lover at the end of the day. I love life. I have no energy, no want to exert my energy for things that are not beneficial for my life. My experience in life is not one that is constantly upset or constantly wondering, oh, what they're doing. Um, why are they messaging this person? Why are they doing that? That's not my natural state at all. Um, I am so far from a jealous person. I don't know. I've never, and that was what's so weird is, I've never considered myself a jealous person ever. I genuinely hope everyone makes it. Like, whatever you want to do in life, I genuinely hope you do it. I hope whatever it is, whatever, even if it's you're 90, and you are like, this is my one goal in life. Like, I hope you do it. I hope everyone experiences what they want out of this experience. And that's always been my, if I'm not for you, that's great. If you find somebody else who's for you, that's awesome. I'm not going to, I don't know, I've just never been that person who's just like, "Oh, you don't want to be with me?" That's like, "Oh my god, you have to." So it was very interesting that I became this person that I really did not wanna be, because that's genuinely not who I was, but I did allow myself to become that person, and I became somebody so different that when I finally realized that I was this completely different person, it was like, it was a really hard to take accountability for that, because I didn't want to, because I wanted to blame him. I wanted to say, "It's your fault if it weren't for you," but it was like, "You coulda stuck to your guns, ma'am." You're right, I could have. I could have stuck to my guns, and I should have, but I didn't, and I went down a different road, and that's okay. I learned. I experienced, and, sometimes that's how we have to really learn and really, you know, see life is by making decisions that are not beneficial for us, but, whatever, it's fine. It's fine, we're here. We're here now, and that's the point. The point is that we're here now. Anyways, so I kinda went on a tangent there, but that's really what I wanted to talk about was how my fear is not against me, how really learning to live with my fear, it was never about suppressing it or overcoming it or, you know, doing things in spite of it, but really living with it, sitting with it, acknowledging it, seeing it, and choosing a life that walks with my emotions and thoughts and mind. And I don't know, living with my light and dark together in harmony as one, because I like to feel whole. I like to feel complete. So every day is just a day where I get to really ask myself, how are you doing today? How are you doing? Are you doing well? Are you doing great? Are you doing super swell? I did that backwards. But yeah, and healing for me wasn't about gaining um external things. I In my state of awareness, when there's no thoughts, no emotions, I feel so peaceful. And I am really glad that I got to this place. It took me a long time, took a lot of tears, took a lot of realizations, a lot of hard truths, but I am very grateful that I got here, and I'm very grateful for my brain and my heart and my body and my bones and my blood and going on a list of my muscles. But no, I'm very grateful for this experience, and I'm grateful for other people because they also make this experience worth experiencing, if that makes sense. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it there, and I am going to not say any more because it's already 30 minutes in, and yeah, on that note, I hope you have the greatest rest of your day, and I hope your mind is kind to you today. And that's all I have to say. Okay, bye.